Sheep, sheep, sheep. Sheep, sheep. Sheep, 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 sheep. Sheep, sheep, sheep. Sheep, 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 sheep. Sheep, sheep, sheep. Sheep, sheep, sheep. Well, how's that for a creative intro? So, I hope you all enjoyed my feeble attempts at trying to be a tenor, or whatever the thing is that... I never did choir, but, yeah, if you couldn't tell by the intro, this, this review is about none other than Muddy Matters. And... it's note time again. So, basically, this is a James episode, and, which is nice, because I don't think we've seen one for a while. And then, of course, it has rain in it, and I'm thinking, oh my god, is it gonna be like Splish Splash Splosh again? And then, of course, today is the day of a insert other name here, fair. And I'm thinking, really? Another children's event? You were doing so great keeping them away from this season, but now you're bringing them back in. And then, yeah. I don't know if you probably caught this, but, there is a very subtle sexist comment in this. Whoever is the most useful will have his photograph taken. And, yeah, whoever's the most useful will have his photograph taken. I'm guessing Sir Tom had us still pissed at Emily from last episode. Hey, at least I brought your hat back to you! That wasn't my hat! It was an ordinary hat some kids had. But both hats are completely the same! Mine had lice. You don't even have hair! So, yeah, way to be sexist there, Topham. And then, of course, he gives it to James, who pretty much he just shoved all the other engines away to grab this job. And I thought Thomas and Emily were more important job hungry, if you will. And so, James is selected to take Farmer McColl's, sheep. Insert sheep gag here. Without a brake van! They were doing great in the beginning of the season, but now they decided, oh, wait, we're hit entertainment. We can just take them away. Yeah, Farmer McColl, you know, to save you all this trouble, why don't you go with James? Duh! I mean, shouldn't he have come with James to ensure the safety of the journey and his sheep? I mean, think about it. He did it, and he came with engines in the past, and Thomas gets it right. Which, by the way, he got nothing right. In that episode, Farmer McColl came with Thomas to ensure the safety of his eggs. Why doesn't he do it now? I mean, shouldn't James be like, aren't you coming with me to ensure the safety of the sheep? What are you, joking? Then there wouldn't be a plot. There's a plot? Or, I don't know, you try to make a joke out about it. So, then when James leaves, he comes across his, first, obstacle, which, I hate to admit this, in all honesty, this first conflict is actually believable. I mean, think about it for a minute. Farmer McCall strictly instructed James to take the fast and flat track so that he wouldn't be late. But also, Farmer McCall doesn't want his sheep to get dirty. And he also doesn't want them to get joggled. So, you're kind of faced with like a double trouble, if you will. Like, you're faced with a flat and muddy track, but the track that's right next to it is very bumpy. Where do you go from there? I mean, if I were James, I would either try to back away and find a shortcut, or another junction, or I would just puff slowly through the wet tracks. But, of course, that's not the case here, because James is only caring about his appearances, and doesn't care about the sheep until it's too late. And then when he takes the bumpy track, bubbling boilers! This track is very bumpy! Oh, really? I never would have guessed with you bumping around and shit! And apparently, the very next scene, apparently the only thing that people ever comment about, oh my god, when did Emily have 3 coaches? It's apparently all they ever care about. And along the bumpy track, the latch on the gate, no, I'm sorry, not the latch. Angela said the lock on the gate opened. What lock? There was a latch, but not a lock. So, poo on Farmer McCall for, the stupidness is spreading, I swear. Okay, I will admit, there was this one line that James says during the scene with Emily. I'll admit that did get a bit of a chuckle out of me. It's when he says, what was it? Oh, yeah. Will the sheep be in the photograph as well, James? They might be. In the background. I'll admit that did get a bit of a laugh out of me. But then, of course, trouble ensues and the sheep escape. And some people were commenting that it's basically the same formula as Wonky Whistle. That's like a sequel to it. Which I do agree about, but to an extent. I'll explain that later. Yeah, but the sheep didn't listen to James. Run away! We'll group with the other animal running gags! Oh, you mean cat! Yes, especially cat! So, and then, yeah, James, you do realize Katie is a sheep dog, right? You're basically telling her not to do what she was trained to do. You're making it worse. And yeah, like the sheepdog is going to take a lesson from a talking train. Or something like that, I don't know. Yeah, James, you know how slowly you're puffing down the longer routes? Why don't you just go that slow through all the puddles? You won't get very dirty, or hell, you won't get dirty at all. And then this other part in James's plan. When you bark, the sheep will crawl into my cab. All I have to do is wait. The sheep will come into your cab? Really? That's your plan? Yeah, sure. Your cab can fit all those sheep inside, and they sure won't get hot, or, I don't know, their wool could burst into flames near your firebox with it being so cramped in there. I mean, come on, you can clearly see how much room he has in his cab when Katie sticks her neck out and barks. You clearly don't have room in your cab! And And then when the sheep come over to him, hooray for me! You, all you did was wait! Katie did all the barking, and, yeah, here's the big question. What was the reason for you blowing your whistle loudly when the sheep came towards you? Was that part of your plan? To instantly ruin your plan? Maybe this is Wonky Whistle 2. Yeah. What was the purpose of Thomas and Percy making a cameo? All they did was pretty much tell us something we already know. Hello, James. We've come to basically repeat everything you just said earlier. Good luck doing it without our help! We're really useful engines! No purpose. No purpose at all. And, oh yeah. Here's the biggest slap in the face. The driver let Katie go. What? Okay, I mean, I'm sorry. This further implies that the engine's crews are nothing more but slaves to their own engines. It doesn't work that way, children! It doesn't fucking work that way! The drivers are the one that drives and are the voices of reason, not slaves! Okay. And then, of course, James tries to resolve it in the end, and he's like, fuck it, I'm getting dirty, I don't care. And although I will say, the ending shot with the guy with the newspaper, I have to admit, that was pretty creative. I don't think we ever seen that before, and the animation is pretty good. So, that's Money Matters, and my God, was it boring! I mean, it was doing alright in the beginning, and the first conflict I thought was actually believable, but then it all went downhill. And, you know what? I will say, at least James still had his old character traits intact, of trying to be the brightest and most important engine. I mean, but still. And, you know what? Let me sort of get into this matter of, with this being Wonky Whistle 2. Thomas and Percy and Toby 2, made a comment how this is basically a sequel to Wonky Whistle. And, I can agree to that, but to an extent. I mean, sure, it does follow the same formula, but you know what? I will say this. There's a big difference in Wonky Whistle, the original one, and Muddy Matters. In Wonky Whistle, Thomas, he didn't do anything to fix the problem until it was too late. And in Money Matters, at least James saw the animals escape. James actually saw the animals escape. And, unlike Thomas, he actually tried to do something about it. Thomas, in the original Wonky Whistle, he did nothing! And, yeah, trust me, the original Wonky Whistle, that is still extremely cringeworthy. Everything about that episode was just plain horrendous. And Money Matters, sure, it does follow the same formula. It does have animals. James is an idiot. But hey, unlike Thomas, James actually tried to do something. He actually tried to fix the problem, halfway through the episode, not till the very end when it's too late. So, I can agree that this is sort of a sequel to Wonky Whistle, but to an extent. So, I don't really see it as a full-fledged Wonky Whistle 2, but it's still bad. It's very bad. It's almost like a backwards splish, splash, splosh, or something like that. So, a solid 0.5 out of 5, or 1 out of 5, or something. I can't choose between the two. So, that was Money Matters, and, yeah, take it for what it's worth, and, yeah, so... And I leave you until next review with this remark. Sheep! I love that running gag, I'm sorry. Okay, alright, see you next review. Bye.